Chapter 10. The Meeting. It was a lovely evening in Alta. The fading sunlight hung its darkening orange glow, reflecting off the golden spires and facades of the buildings. Lights of the crystals flickered in the dimming light. They became stars floating in the darkness as the light faded into darkness. The Atlatians were not a wasteful society, at least at this point, and would plan everything to the tiniest degree. This included the great amphitheater, which was located in the center of Alta. It had many functions: theater, dance, sports, and public lectures. Tonight it was being used for the latter. It was an open-air coliseum consisting of rows, marble benches, graduated to the level of a 2-story building. Now it was lit with many lights, lining the rows of seats with a cluster of lights directed towards a podium in the center of the stage. People were arriving. Television crews were busy preparing their equipment. A group of musicians were playing soft music behind the podium area, which already gave an air of seriousness to the evening's festivities. Oren walked down the gently lit aisle towards the stage. I, who had accompanied him, sat myself near the front as my friend walked onto the stage. There, a group of men and women were talking. When it appeared to those in charge that as many people that were going to show were there, the word was given for all to settle down and to take their positions. The music stopped, and the speakers took their seats behind the podium. The first speaker was a noted elder, Isba. The podium was decorated with beautiful flowers. She had long white flowing hair and wore a simple white robe which danced on the floor as she walked. She had a regalness about her. She confidently placed her hands on the podium and looked out into the audience, noting the size. It was only a quarter full. She was known by all of those of the Law of One in ATLATIA. Small audience applauded her presence. She smiled. "Thank you. Tonight we have come here as a collective of the children of the Law of One. Shall we begin with a moment of meditation?" She bowed her head. All followed. The amphitheater was silent. After a couple minutes, she continued, "This meeting has been called on a matter of great urgency." Her eyes shifted to look to her right, where Miram sat with Sigund and other priests from the temples. I watched Isba intently, seeing where her eyes were drawn. My heart leapt. I remembered Sale telling of her need to prepare for this meeting. What was so important? Both Miram and Isba had referred to something of great importance. I watched Miram searching for some sign in her face. Her face was serious. I couldn't read anything in her expression. Isba continued, "I would like to not waste our time, but move as quickly as possible. First, let me introduce our first speaker, Rhea, who I'm sure you all know as being the greatest medium in all ATLATIA." Everyone applauded. A large woman with a very round, happy face came up to the podium. After the applause died down, she spoke. "Thank you, Isba, and thank you all for all your wonderful welcome." She became very serious. "Information has been revealed to me so that we, the children of the Law of One, may save ourselves." A hum of whispers crept through the crowd. I looked to Miram. Her expression had not changed. "ATLATIA is doomed for destruction. Great earthquakes and volcanic eruptions shall occur. Our land shall be totally upturned." The crowd now getting louder as they panicked as they heard what they were hearing. I looked to Oren, who looked totally unsurprised. Why hadn't he mentioned this to me? I thought. Rhea tried to control the mass of people. "Please, we must keep our heads. Please let me continue." The crowd quieted down. "We are prepared for this. We have been advised to organize an evacuation. It can be done. We have time." Meanwhile, Patelin was watching the speech at his home and on his disc, which is a television. He laughed as he listened to her words. A tall man of middle age joined her on stage. "I would like to introduce Atlaeus, who has been appointed as the director of the expedition." Patelin got up. "Fools," he mumbled. He was just about to shut off the television when the camera panned the audience. The camera caught Etuitude entering the Coliseum. His teeth clenched. "What is she doing there?" he screamed at the television. "She's one of them!" He went back to his seat, growling. Atlas continued his speech. "Committees shall be formed this evening for expeditions to foreign lands where we shall find suitable countries to spread our tenets and culture, as well as our belief in the One. First, before we break up to continue our business, I would like to introduce one of Poseidon's most noted scribes, Oron." The audience applauded. I stood up smiling and applauding louder than anyone. "He is here to share an idea of his with you." Etuitude also stood applauding at the back of the amphitheater. Somehow, though, the crowd Oron managed to spot her. Out of the crowd, Oron managed to spot her. A big smile flashed across his face. He began, "Thank you. I would like to put forth an idea. In order that ATLATIA shall ever be remembered, and also the source from where we came, I recommend that on these expeditions we find a suitable burial place for the preserving of the records of our history, the records of ATLATIA." He continued, "With the assistance of other scribes, we shall compile all the data housed in the Hall of Records, as well as all the information on the creation of all." People applauded. I was overwhelmed with pride when I felt for my friend. This was the first I had heard of any of this. It was wonderful, and I felt so proud to be his friend. My brain began to race. Now I could help with this project by working on the records. I was overwhelmed with happiness. I looked over to Miram. She had been watching me. She sent me a thought with a smile. "Yes, you'll be able to help." I smiled back. I was so excited I could hardly contain myself. Etuitude continued smiling as she listened to Oron's words. Unbeknownst to her, however, someone was watching her. Hellam stood at the entranceway of the building, safely out of her sight. Amaziah and Patelin looked up as Hellam rushed into Patelin's living room. Patelin gave him a gruff welcome. "Where have you been?" "You asked me to watch our friend Etuitude." He looked at them both as if he was about to divulge a great secret. "Guess where she has been?" Patelin, appearing unaffected by his news, went to his table and poured himself a drink. Much to Hellam's surprise, he answered, "She was at the amphitheater with those of the One." Hellam gave Amaziah a suspicious look. "Did he tell you that?" "No, it was transmitted tonight on the disc. Have you any information that we don't have already?" Hellam sat down thinking. "Perhaps. I saw her leave the amphitheater with the scribe that spoke, Oron. You know, the one who was at the council meeting the other day." Patelin scratched his head. "Interesting. I wonder what she's up to. Now come on, we have work to do." I drove a carriage pulled by a textron. Etuitude and Oron sat quietly in the back with only the clop, clop, clop of the textron's footsteps. I would take an occasional look back at my friend and his companion, and then lost myself in daydreams of Miram and my work on the records. Oron was feeling charged from the evening's events. The turnout went well. Many people volunteered for the expeditions, and his suggestion for the preservation of the records was met with nothing but praise, even from the elders. Even though the revelation of what was to come was frightening, it was as if these expeditions were going to be another beginning for the world. Perhaps they would prevent other societies from going down the same path of destruction that ATLATIA had set out for herself. He had been brought up as one of the children of the law of one, and being a minority in this society, he could see why the majority had swayed to the sons of Belial. Material things were always nice, but he understood the importance of a conscious mind. Be aware of other people and your surrounding world. The sons of Belial were so caught up in the material things and technology that no longer could they see they may be hurting other human beings, or Terra for that matter. He had heard stories of how the land was being stripped of copper for the increase of crystal generators, which they were used for. Of course, he enjoyed the convenience these generators provided, but in turn it was causing friction among people. The mines in ATLATIA had been mined dry. Now the country was seeking the minerals in other lands. They were using the things as slaves, making them perform cruel and arduous tasks. It had even been rumored that people were fighting, even killing one another for the copper that was now the most valuable metal in the country. He hoped that they would find a land in which they could all live by one, its tenets of loving one another. And having seen the destruction of the land in ATLATIA for its prized resources, he prayed a future would bring a more environmentally conscious world. Oron looked over at Atuitude. He was very surprised that she was there tonight, and even more surprised that she came up to the stage after his speech to greet him. She wore her long black hair down, and it blew back in the wind like a flag over the carriage. Her face told him that she was troubled. "You're very quiet. Is there something wrong?" Atuitude gave him a serious look. "More than you know." She paused and smiled at him. "I think what you are doing is wonderful. You have a very special task ahead of you, Oron." She looked at his hand as if she was afraid. "I also have a mission. Will you help me?" Oron could see the fear in her eyes and feel her tremble. He was surprised by her reaction. "If I can, what is it?" She tapped me on the shoulder. "Esser, please take us to Alta's lab of authority." I had been listening to their conversation but was startled by her request. I couldn't imagine why we would be going there at night. As I directed the Textron towards the lab, Atuitude explained to us the events of the last few days. I was particularly intrigued by the role Miram had played in all of this. The whole story seemed incredible to both of us. When we got to the building where the lab was located, Atuitude got us past a guard, pretending to have forgotten some work. Inside the building was dark. Atuitude turned on the lights. Our footsteps echoed as we walked down the hallway. I had an unsettling feeling about this. I had never really been frightened, but I definitely felt uneasy about this. "Nobody will be here tonight," Atuitude whispered. "Perhaps we can find some evidence of these other power centers." Oron held onto her hand as we walked down the hall. He had every intention of helping her and protecting her no matter what. From the far side of the lab, a light shone from another room. Atuitude motioned us to be quiet and to follow her. As we got closer, we could hear Patelin's voice. "Our quota plant shall be operational soon. These are the Zeus Center plans." Atuitude, Oron, and I listened near the door. Inside the room, Helm, Amaziah, and Patelin stood watching a giant screen of plans of the nuclear center. Patelin continued, "Unlike quota, I have constructed a dome of invisibility. No one shall ever find it." At that moment, my tail hit a large beaker on the floor, making a sound. Patelin was all alerted and quickly directed Amaziah, "Go see what that or who it is." Amaziah cautiously walked out into the lab where Oron, Atuitude, and I were. He turned on the lights, but there was no sign of us. "I don't see anything." Patelin walked in, followed by Helm. A mouse ran out from under a desk. Patelin growled, "Let us hope that's all it was." They returned to the other room. I was hiding under the desk. I had seen the small animal and encouraged him to make his presence known. I threw a kiss to the mouse. Oron and Atuitude were hidden behind another screen. When we saw Patelin and his cronies had left the room, we all departed in haste. Atuitude agreed with Oron and I that we should tell Miram of the new developments. Quickly went to the temple where Miram lives and alerted her to the situation. "I'm glad you've come to share this information. An invisible dome is something that we must prevent." The room glittered with candles that blanketed the room. She turned to Atuitude, who sat on the cushion next to her. "You must destroy the plans." "Yes, but how?" I, who had been sitting quietly through the conversation, got up and walked over between Miram and Atuitude. "Not her, but me." I had taken everyone off guard. Oron interjected, "What?" I had been thinking about it ever since we left the lab. I knew I had to do something. Now I had found it. I'm the least suspicious. I can trade places with a friend. He is also a thing and is in service to the lab. Oron smiled at me proudly. "Esser has a voice." They all smiled. He continued, "He's right. He would be beyond suspicion. It is too dangerous for Atuitude." "I'm sure that I can handle it," Atuitude stated bravely. Miram took her hand. "I'm sure you could, but I think Esser is right. He could enter the lab at night pretending to clean, and could find the plans and destroy them. If he should be detected, we still would have not jeopardized your position. You are the only inside source we have to do what is happening there." Atuitude understood now and consented. "Yes, I see." After all was planned, Oron and Atuitude left. I was also on my way out when Miram stopped me. Isn't it amazing that this wonderful brain that has been hidden all these years, and now you finally can express what is in it? I smiled. She took me by the hand. This is only the beginning, my dear Esser. You have a high service to perform for humanity. Remember that. May the light go with you. She kissed me on the cheek. Sparks exploded throughout my entire being. I knew that what she had said was true. This was the beginning not only for me, but for us.